often and writing every day. Hint, hint, if you want to do that, he can help you. He reads frequently, and he understands himself, and he documents by visualizing. So Matt Bamberg's Coconut Grove Chronicles has just come out. This is one of, how many books do you have published?
Oh, about 11, but they're not like that. They're photography.
He is also a talented photographer in his own right, and he has a couple of websites. If you Google him, I just Googled him, and all kinds of things come up. He's a really famous guy. So Matt's work spans contributions to publishing such as The Desert Sun, Palm Springs Life, and a travel column titled One Take Trips, which you can imagine what
Anybody
that is.
remember that from the early 2000s?
I think you need to bring that one back. That sounds like a lot of fun. And his passion for photography culminated in the bestseller Digital Art Photography for Dummies and 11 additional books, including 101 Quick and Easy Secrets. So Matthew Bamberg is going to talk to you about reflecting often, writing every day, reading frequently, understanding yourself, and documenting by visualizing, and a couple of other things. So let's welcome Matt.
Okay, so you probably wonder how I got here. I've known MJ for 30 years.
Yeah, 30 plus.
So I remember when she brought her daughter, Aria, into a restaurant, and I met her when she was a baby. And so that's my personal connection. We've also worked together teaching about the history of Coachella Valley for Osher, if anybody's familiar with that. California, what was it, University of California?
UC Riverside and Cal State San Bernardino.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So we worked a lot together, and we're pals, so that's good. Great person. Anyway, what I want to do here is I want to kind of teach you how to write. And writing's really important. I guess it's not important that, I mean, it is important. It helps if you sell 1 million books, but that probably isn't going to happen. It hasn't happened to me. Maybe tens of thousands with that Dummies book. And then, but there's something very interesting about my books in that I'm involved in a lawsuit that just, are any of you familiar with the artificial intelligence lawsuit? Where they're busting, so to speak, the publisher. No, what happened was they gave away my book for free, all over the place. My books for free. You still can get them for free. So what the AI people did is they went in and got all the free books, and that's how they built their AI. So now there's a very good possibility I'll get paid $3,000 a book because I was smart enough to revert the rights to me from the publisher. Otherwise, the publisher would get 50%. So that's a bit of news. It's very nice though because that's more than I got all. But it was free, so. Anyway, my relationship with Desert Hot Springs, you can change it, is first photography. I came to the Palm Springs area in 1999, just when the mid-century modern stuff was starting. So these are, now I know that's in Desert Hot Springs, but I put it in Google and it told me it was in Palm Springs. Is anybody familiar with that?
Sure.
Yeah. It's in Desert Hot Springs, right?
End of Palm Drive. And the next one over was my hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
anyway, that picture needs more attention because they're not finding it.
Yeah. And you took that picture before I redid the sign.
Oh, okay, yeah, and that's Kismet. I used to go around here and photograph mid-century motel signs. That was one of them. I also have some leprechaun one. Is anybody familiar with that? Well, I'll find it. And this tiki. Is anybody familiar with that tiki? That's from the 60s, and it's on somebody's property, and then I made a little art project out of it. Because that's just what I do. And I have a lot of fun. I love what I do. Next. So these are my articles, and I did write articles about Desert Hot Springs back in the early 2000s. They twisted my arm, and I did all the congregation, I profiled all the congregations in the Coachella Valley. And one of them, I can't remember, but I know I have all of them, and I'll give it to MJ, was the congregation in Desert Hot Springs. Does anybody know which one that is? Which church?
That's actually come up as an idea for a History Speak, so we'll have to talk.
Okay, well, I have that one.
Okay.
And so I've also written about the Frey gas station in Palm Springs Life. Then late, the past few years, I've been doing op-eds. So one is on education, grammar being forgotten. How many people think grammar is being forgotten in the schools?
It ain't forgotten.
Here, here. Okay. And I was a member of the Desert Art Center. Anybody familiar with that? So if you're an artist, try to get in there. All you have to do, they have a call for, you get juried in there, and they have a call, and you can put your art from Desert Hot Springs. I'm sure there's an artist that focuses on here or there. And I've written about mid-century modern design. The most interesting thing is, let me know how I'm doing on time. The most interesting thing is, okay, way back when in 1999, I guess it's a more recent past. That's why we're all here, to learn how to write, hopefully, because I, as an older person, remember things from my past play in my head like a videotape. And that's how I wrote that book, because I had a really rough childhood. And the main thing is it's very therapeutic and cathartic to write about your past. So I really recommend it because it's helped me have self-esteem, the research. I found out my father was a bombardier in World War II. I did not know that. And I also found out that he came to California on the coast, one of the bases there he was stationed from, and then Hawaii. And I knew nothing. And what else? And then my book, Digital Art Photography for Dummies, and I've written over 300 articles on medium.com. I really suggest that you join there. It's $5 a month, and you can write whatever you want, and you can get it published. And the best thing about that is the editors there help you. So you submit it to a publication. There's a lot of them. There's hundreds of them, and it's easy to get into. So if you want to start writing, okay, so there's two things. There's a memoir, which is the truth. And then there's a fictional autobiography, which is the kind of elaborated fiction. And that's what I've done with that. So part of it, and that's called Based on Real Life. So that's that book over there. And I took all my, believe me, Florida's weird. Yeah.
Did you live in Coconut Grove?
Yes.
Oh, I spent years in Coconut Grove.
Okay.
That's what I was asking. You knew Fred Neal and all the stuff with the Gaslight Cafe and all of that then?
Probably if you jog my memory.
Okay.
I think it was a Candlelight Inn.
No, the Gaslight Cafe dates back to like 64, 65. So
Oh, yeah. Well, I had my 13th birthday party at the Candlelight Inn.
Cool.
And I never got bar mitzvah because my mother did not believe in joining temples or groups. So here I am, growing up with being discouraged from joining groups, and it got me kind of lost until I almost joined a cult. Wrong way. Everything is the wrong way, but it's really funny in that book. And so you can change slides. So I have this talk divided into think bold, reflect often, write every day, read a lot of memoirs and autobiographies, especially the people from here. I don't know how many there are, or anybody. Is anybody familiar with any memoirs written by people from Desert Hot Springs? Can you give me the name, or do you?
Unsupervised and Loving It.
Unsupervised and Loving It? There's your first book.
It's hers.
Oh, it's yours! Awesome. Yay, please give MJ that information. I would like to read it. Okay, and then documentation. I'm always researching. What I suggest is you join Ancestry. I joined it once, but only took the free thing and I need to join it again. So I can become a Canadian citizen also. Because my grandfather was from Canada. And they were the first Jews to settle in Kingston, Ontario. I just found that out also. Okay, any questions about this? Okay, so we have Think Bold, Coconut Grove, and next is gonna be Think Bold, Desert Hot Springs. The two are very different. Back when I grew up in the 60s and 70s, Desert Hot Springs only had like 5,000 people. It grew really quickly after that. And so I have equality, consider equality. I'm sure you've already talked about that and diversity. That's what I used to teach at National University is equality and diversity courses until it bombed. And you probably know why. Then Coconut Grove was also the artist. It attracted artists. So similar to here and similar to Palm Springs. And at the time, it was a little different than here in that the Cubans came. And at first, the wealthy Cubans came. And they came in droves by plane, by boat, every which way, because Castro came in through the hills. And I got to interview somebody who ran a sugarcane factory up in the mountains, and they saw the whole brigade coming. And so that was really interesting. So that's why I'm saying documentation. So interviews, try to interview people if you're going to write a memoir. Play back your videotapes, and then what you play back, document and research on ancestry. Segregation, at the time, Miami was highly segregated. I can remember when I was a boy, being my best friend growing up, his father owned the Sandy shop. Now the Grove had two parts, the Black Grove and the White Grove. And finally, the Black Grove is getting gentrified. I don't know how good that is, but and they're opening stores. But forever, the Black Grove was Bill's spot, right on the corner. Anybody heard of that place? Okay, so that's where the African American people went. And I got to interact with both because I was everywhere when I was a kid, and most of the time I was just getting into little conundrums. That's a good word. A lot of conundrums. Counterculture, Coconut Grove, my Dinner Key Auditorium. It's Dinner Key. That's where Jim Morrison took off all his clothes.
I was there.
Oh, you were there?
I'm asking.
Go ahead. You were there?
Yes, I
Can
was
you
at the
tell us a
concert
little
when he
bit
was
about
there.
it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He did it, and the guy that ran around with the sheep and the big flag that used to be in the park there, he was there. The whole group was in the auditorium that night.
Wow. Yeah, so I heard about that. I worked in so it started out as a head shop, but it was also a Guatemalan boutique. Way back when I was 15, I sold Coke spoons and pipes, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with any of that stuff, but I put it all out there because it's cathartic, right? I don't do any of that stuff anymore. All right, and then tradition. There's a lot of hippies there and Cuban refugees. I went to Coral Gables High School, which is near the Grove, and I interacted and became friends with a lot of Cubans. And that's what the book is about. I become best friends with a Cuban girl, kind of a platonic relationship, but she ran my life. Her and my mother ran my life. Without them, I would have never gotten anywhere. So that's what that's about. Okay, so next slide. So, you're first going to meet Marvin, then you're going to from Coconut Grove, and then I used AI to meet, I can't forget his name, I forgot his name, but you'll see it, and from Desert Hot Springs. So here's Marvin, you can kind of take a look at it. How am I on time?
You have about 12 minutes.
Okay, so here's Marvin. He's in the tropics. He's kind of a tropical guy. The reason he's confused is his mother is into the occult. I even have a chapter on Santeria, which that's what the research was. And I know my mother was involved in that, but I didn't know anything about it. So that's where I researched and I created a scene in a restaurant and about Santeria. Anybody familiar with that?
Yes.
That's a combination of Catholicism and some sort of spiritual thing. I've also traveled around the world, so that helps with my vision of what I wanted to communicate in the book. So there's two realities. There's a Marvin who wants to be a TV weatherman, and a Marvin who ends up taking drugs and going into a cult. So he's got a divided personality, and his conundrum is his mother's an astrologer, and he was gay. And he feared all through this is relating to me, all through his childhood that those mediums, those astrologers, those those palmists would find out. There would be something in there to find out he was gay. So all these people are coming into his house, which was my house. This part's based on real life. All these mediums and all clairvoyants. One of them, I learned that if you're going to give a psychic healing, you don't tap on the person, you just rub their back, because I've had them before. And I'm sure that you can get one here. They can't find out if you're gay. I thought they could way back then. All right, so that's that. And Think Bold, Desert Hot Springs, I went through that, and you can read that yourself. And if you have any questions about it, you can tell us about it. Because I didn't grow up here, although I do know some things about it, a lot of things. I first came to Desert Hot Springs in the 80s, late 80s, and I ended up some resort back here. I can't remember the name. But I just remember it being really windy, and I also learned you don't touch cactus. I wanted that feeling. So anybody know any of these things?
What is the desert modern movement? Is that the 50s, mid-century modern?
Yeah, they came here too.
Right, sure.
Right. And of course, there's a lot of Native American stuff. Anybody familiar with the Native American history here?
Yeah.
So they were very. There was this one person. Here he is. This guy's important. Has anybody heard of him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the first members of the Historical Society.
Yeah. Okay, so he's kind of cool guy. And same thing in Palm Springs. Bubbling Wells was like a bubbling well before it was bubbling wells, and so on and so forth. Any questions about these? All right, change it. So, if you're going to do, this is, thanks for artificial intelligence. I do use it sometimes, not to write my book, because that's a no-no. And so meet Dusty, a scrawny, brown, sun-brown 10-year-old growing up in Desert Hot Springs in the late 60s. Dusty lives in a homestead shack built of cinder blocks and scrap wood, and his playground isn't a manicured park like Coconut Grove. It's the desert. So if you're going to use artificial intelligence, you just use it like you would use Google. You don't want to write anything from there. What I do is it's easier doing the research, but when they give you information, you must document with a library or a database, or that's what I found out, and in all my writing. So the Mojave, I'm sure who's had interesting experiences in the desert, like out there. Anybody?
Never pick up the cholla cactus balls that fall to the ground.
Right.
I learned that as a 5-year-old.
Right.
It does look like a snowball.
And then I was walking around in Arizona about 6 months ago, and I was flinging my arms, and of course that one cast of chulo or something. Cholla got me. And here's this big piece hanging off me. Luckily, there was a friend there, because how are you going to take it off? It doesn't come out.
Another name for it is jumping cactus.
Yeah. And
You know how you get them off? The only thing to get them off, take really thick wad of newspaper and put it over them.
Yeah.
It's the only thing
Well, my
I-
friend was desert aware, and she got 2 rocks and pulled it out.
Yeah.
If I wasn't with my friend, I'd still be walking. So, okay. Anybody have any ideas? Does this bring back any memories from you? Yeah.
I was here in 1960, and there, I don't think were any scrawny, sun-browned 10-year-olds here. We had one family.
What about Native Americans?
Hmm?
Native Americans.
Not in Desert Hot Springs.
Well, maybe that's before that.
Could
Probably
be,
in the
but it
40s and
wasn't-
50s.
it wasn't
Yeah.
the
We'll
60s.
tell you more.
So sometimes ChatGPT is wrong. Sorry about that. I didn't research that part.
We
Yeah.
had one Mexican family in Desert Hot Springs in 1960.
And what about Native Americans? There were a lot of tribes here?
No.
One tribe? No?
Palm Springs.
Palm
Palm
Springs.
Springs.
Palm Springs.
Okay, yeah.
The Mission Creek Band of indigenous people here, it's a question is whether, if they're Serrano or Cahuilla, but they've been on this land, on Two Bunch, for over 8,000 years. In 2013, they were recognized as a tribe, but by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, but the federal government didn't recognize them. Consequently, they were not allowed to build casinos and stuff. But
Oh,
this reminds me of Dick Rogers, but this is a little bit after his time, but his grandparents owned the BRH Ranch
oh,
in the
okay.
1940s.
Right, and I also, I worked with the developer at BRH, is that what you, yeah, I worked with that developer. I knew him, and he bought my art for the models down there with the modern houses. And that's when I was writing for the newspaper, so I was able to write about a lot of people. At any rate, this is a good point to think about what this organization can do, because ChatGPT just thinks you're Palm Springs, or that they just call the information from there. Just like when I type in for directions, like that's why I was late today, and I'm very sorry about that. But I typed in Desert Rock House, and I ended up at the quarry. And there's the main reason why you gotta work really hard and, make sure Google knows everything you're putting out. And I could give a talk on that too,
That's very interesting.
because I've been doing that for years. Okay, next slide. So a reflection of your youth and your experiences as a child. What I did was, I didn't go into the negative stuff. What I did was all funny stuff, or what I think of as funny today. And some people might not think it's funny, but some of it is funny. Okay, so when I was a kid, for example, I wasn't a nice kid, and I didn't get nice until I was like in my 60s, no, 50s, when I moved here. And so back then I went into I had a friend who now, not a friend, an acquaintance who was in Hollywood. His father was my orthodontist, and I was not getting good grades. So my Cuban girlfriend, suggested that I go in the teacher's filing cabinet and get the report cards and grade them. And I love to grade things. I just loved it. So I got my seat near the teacher's desk. They left, and I went into the report cards and gave all my enemies C's and D's, and I gave myself A's and B's. And I got caught. I was grounded forever, but lucky I had a brother who helped me do my work, or did my work. Anyway, so that's a funny experience. And it was also a learning experience, and writing about it is funny, and because I feel bad about that to this day. I feel bad about a lot of things, but that's where the writing comes in. So this is another one in the Black Grove, when they had the riots in the Black Grove. They had race riots there, and my best friend, his father owned an Army-Navy shop in the Black Grove, and we used to go there all the time. And then all of a sudden there was this riot, and we're stuck in the store. So, I don't know, they boarded up, or we were helping move stuff because they had to board it up because of the riots. And it was scary. I mean, people were pounding on the doors, and because he was right in the center. I remember it was called the Sandy Shop. Anyway, that's that. Slide. So, how do you begin? Write every day. Start out with one sentence summarizing what your book is actually about. And here is the one sentence. Opening hook that catches attention and engagement. My opening hook is that I was born, obviously, and my mother did not want a boy; she wanted a girl. So that's the hook there. All right, opening hook, and that has nothing to do with being gay. That's just my mother. Okay, opening hook catches attention and engagement, and then an inciting incident I had talked about already, and then turning points. You make a list of turning points. And for me, it's really easy because I can go back to, there's a videotape in my head and I see everything, hear everything, and it's wild. Does anybody have that experience? Yeah.
Not yet, but we're gonna work on that.
Something good to use. All right, next slide. And here, write every day. So you can see, write a character arc, and here's the character arc. Dishonesty and peer pressure from the Cuban girl, acting out, having my secret, tormented, getting into a cult, the mother and the Cuban girl, this is a fictionalized part, the mother and the Cuban girl get Marvin is the name of the character, get Marvin out of the cult and he goes to the university. And then integrate event, and then for each event, explain. Like when I was a professor at National with MJ, people would write all the theories very well, but they would never explain them, they would never apply them. And that's all they needed to do, but it just took an arm and a leg to get the students to do that. Do you think so?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then the structure, these are the types of structures you can use. I decided, first I started off with a memoir years ago, and then I moved into the fictionalized thing. All right, flashbacks and edit often. I bought Grammarly Pro. Okay, I broke down and did it. Next. And so read, here's some book suggestions. Next. So my next book I have to do, since my father was a bombardier in World War II, the next book I'm going to get is he said nothing, I hardly even know him, is a Pacific Theater book about World War II. So if you know of any, stop me and let me know. You'll also have my email. All right, so understand, reconstruct dialogue. I got lucky, I was very good at doing that. Research is essential. Make a narrative out of your historical events that you've lived through. The market is competitive. I only had one goal with this book. I wanted to write it, and I wanted it in a bookstore in Coconut Grove, and I succeeded with that goal. And I just forgot about sales because they just started happening. It's really hard to sell a book. I mean, at the beginning, it was okay, but now, so I'm trying to work on that. Free, Amazon publishing is free. If you want to self-publish and get into the bookstores, you've got to get on Ingram Spark. And there, I use ChatGPT to help me step by step to go through Ingram Spark, because that is not an easy platform to deal with. But once you get on there, you get everywhere. So that's why if you type in my name, I'm on Thrift Books, Barnes and Noble, and everywhere else. And also, you have to get an ISBN, because you can't, if you don't have an ISBN, you can't sell the bookstores, because that's where they get their books. So I did that. Everything you can be walked through. It cost me a total to self-publish my book. Those are from Ingram. For the ISBN, it was like $85. That's it. That's all I paid. But I worked my butt off, so to speak. All right. And then that's that slide. Here's how you document things. There's a lot of photos here. You can look at photos to get reminded of the history of the events you might have used through, or how many of you come from another place where you were a kid? Anybody? Okay, this can be done for any place where you came, where you grew up. And so this is some possibilities. I mentioned that interview, and also I want to make clear, mine is an novel. That means that it is not a memoir because some of it is a memoir, yes. And what I did to get me going is I had different I wrote different stories and I put them on Medium and I had them edit for me. They didn't do such a good job, so I had to do it all over again later on. But I had it all there. And okay, that's next. And that's it.
Oh.